Most women blame their foundation first. It's almost never the foundation. There's one single feature on your face that a makeup artist looks at before anything else. Before your skin, before your lips, before your eyes. And if it's even slightly off, it can add 10 years to how you read from across a room, no matter how perfect everything else is. I'm going to show you exactly what it is. And once you see it, you'll never apply makeup the same way again. Here's the promise. For small habits are quietly working against you. And the fourth one is the real answer to the question in this title. The detail almost nobody thinks to check. And the one every professional checks first. We'll get there. But everything we cover before it exists to build toward that one answer. So stay with me, because the first three will surprise you too. Welcome to the timeless wardrobe. If you're enjoying practical advice that respects your age instead of fighting it, this is exactly what we share here every week. Consider subscribing, because every video is built to help you understand what actually works, not chase another trend. Here's something worth saying plainly right now. This isn't your fault. Your routine didn't change. Your face did. Skin holds color differently at 60 than it did at 30. Brows lighten, lashes thin. Lips lose some of their natural color. The techniques that flattered you for 20 years didn't stop working because you did something wrong. They stopped working because nobody updated the instructions to match the face you actually have today. Think about the last time you opened an old photograph, maybe from a wedding or a holiday years ago, and reached instinctively for the same products, the same steps, the ones that felt so reliable back then. That instinct isn't outdated thinking. It's simply a routine that's frozen in time, while the face underneath it kept quietly changing. Here's the first habit, and it's the one everyone assumes is the problem. So let's clear it fast. Foundation matters, but wearing the wrong shade or the wrong weight almost never adds 10 years on its own. What actually does, much faster than foundation ever could, is a hard, dark eyeliner rimmed tightly along the lower lash line. Picture it for a second. You line the bottom lash line, the exact way you did in your 20s. Same thickness, same dark shade. Because it always used to make your eyes pop. Except now, that thick dark line sits closer to skin. That's naturally lost some of its firmness underneath the eye. And instead of opening the eye up, it does the opposite. It shrinks it. It drags the whole eye down and inward. And skin that's already a little softer reads as tired rather than defined. This comes down to contrast and proportion. Heavy, dark color close to a delicate area draws far more attention to that area than a lighter touch ever would. The fix is simple. Skip the harsh dark line on the lower lash line entirely, or replace it with a soft taupe or brown pencil. Smudged rather than sharp. Keep your definition on the upper lash line instead, where it lifts the eye rather than pulling it down. Here's a fast way to check yourself before you leave the house. Look in the mirror from a slight distance, not right up close. If the first thing you notice is the dark line itself, rather than your eyes, it's doing more work than you want it to. A dark line under a soft eye doesn't add definition. It adds weight. Quick question before we move on. Do you currently line your lower lash line dark, or have you already backed off it? I'm curious how common this one actually is. This next one hides in plain sight because it looks like the safest, most careful step in the entire routine. The next habit is one almost every woman does on purpose, because it feels like exactly the right instinct. Matte, full coverage powder, pressed on generously to control shine and smooth out texture. You check the mirror in good light before you leave the house. Everything looks smooth, even, controlled, exactly the way you intended it to. Then a photo turns up later that evening, taken under a different light entirely, maybe a flash at dinner, and suddenly every line you were trying to hide is somehow the first thing you notice. Here's the problem nobody mentions. Powder that's too heavy, or applied too dry, settles directly into fine lines rather than sitting smoothly across the skin. So instead of smoothing anything, it actually draws a soft outline around every line it lands in. This is simple light and texture. Skin with some natural sheen reflects light evenly. Skin coated in heavy matte powder absorbs light unevenly instead, and any texture underneath becomes more visible, not less. The fix isn't skipping powder completely. It's using less of it, and only where you actually need it, usually just the T-zone, while leaving a little natural dewy finish everywhere else, so light bounces off the skin, instead of catching in every line it can find. If you're not sure what you're doing, try this tonight. Press a clean fingertip gently against your cheek after you've finished your makeup. If it comes away with a visible powdery residue, you're likely wearing more than your skin actually needs. Quick, honest question for the comments. Do you tend to reach for full matte coverage, or do you already lean dewy? I'd love to know which one most of us are actually doing. The next one is the one that feels the most foolproof of all, which is exactly why it's so easy to miss. Here's a mistake that hides in plain sight, because it looks like the safest possible choice. A pale, neutral, your lips but better lip color, worn every single day. It feels foolproof. Nobody ever got told they wore too little, so a pale, safe lip color feels like it could never be the problem. It's actually one of the fastest ways to wash out a face that's already lost some natural color. As we age, lips naturally lose pigment, the same way hair and brows do. So, a very pale lip color sitting on top of already pale lips removes one of the last remaining points of natural contrast on the face. This is color harmony. Your face needs at least one place where color meets skin on purpose, or the whole face can start to read as flat. The fix isn't wearing a bold red, if that's not you. It's choosing a shade with slightly more depth than your natural lip color, not less. A soft rose, a warm berry, a muted terracotta, anything that gives the eye one clear place to land. If you're not sure where to start, look at the natural color of your lips first thing in the morning, before any product at all, and choose something just one step warmer or deeper than that. It's a small enough shift that it never feels like wearing lipstick. It simply looks like your own coloring, slightly restored. A pale lip on pale skin doesn't look natural. It just looks like there's nothing there at all. And now, the answer we've actually been building toward this entire time. The one detail that changes more than the other three combined. Now, the answer I promised you at the very start. The one detail a makeup artist checks before anything else. Because it changes the entire face faster than any other single choice. Your eyebrows. It sounds almost too small to matter this much. But think about what your eyebrows actually do. They're the one feature that frames every other feature on your face. The eyes, the smile, the whole upper half of an expression. And unlike lipstick or blush, you can't easily tell when they've drifted out of balance, because you see them every day at the same angle in the same mirror. Picture two women, same face, same skin, same everything else, standing at the same family gathering. One has brows filled in with a color noticeably darker than her current hair color, drawn in a sharp, straight, structured shape. The other has brows filled in with a soft, slightly lighter shade, following her natural arch, feathered rather than sharp. Nobody at that gathering could tell you exactly why, but almost everyone would say the second woman looks softer, more rested, and yes, younger. Not because her face is different, because a dark, hard brow sits like a frame around the whole face. And any frame that's harder or darker than everything it's framing pulls the eyes straight to itself, instead of to the eyes and the smile underneath it. This is proportion and framing, the same principle behind everything else we've covered today, just concentrated into two small strokes above the eyes. Here's why this one detail outweighs the other three we just walked through. A harsh liner affects the eye. Heavy powder affects the skin. A pale lip affects the mouth. But the brow sits above all three, framing the whole arrangement at once. Which means getting it wrong doesn't just affect one feature. It sets the tone the eye reads first, before it even reaches the liner, the powder, or the lip color you spent the most time on. Here's the test, and it takes 30 seconds. Hold your brow pencil or powder up next to a strand of your actual current hair. Not the hair color you used to have, and not the color on the box from 10 years ago. If the brow color is noticeably darker than that strand, it's very likely aging you more than anything else on your face. Go 1 to 2 shades lighter than you think you need, and follow your natural arch. Rather than a sharp, drawn-on shape, you were never wearing the wrong face. You were simply framing it with a color from a decade you'd already moved past. Here's what all 4 of these actually have in common. None of them mean you've done anything wrong. They're simply 4 small habits that quietly stopped matching the face they were built for. One gradual year at a time. A hard liner becomes a soft, smudged line, kept on top only. Heavy matte powder becomes a lighter touch with a little natural sheen. A pale lip becomes 1 shade richer than your own. And brow color becomes 1 or 2 shades lighter, following your natural shape. None of it requires new products you don't already own. And none of it requires more time at the mirror than you're already spending. It requires seeing your own face the way it actually looks today, not the way a routine from 20 years ago assumed it still would. Elegance was never about erasing the years. It's about finally letting your makeup catch up to the face that's actually looking back at you, so that what people notice first isn't the liner, the powder, or the brow at all. It's simply you, a little more rested, a little more like yourself. Tell me, out of these 4, which one are you changing? The very next time you sit down at the mirror? Not which one surprised you most. Which one you're actually going to do differently. I'll be reading every answer. And give this a like if it gave you even one thing you didn't know a few minutes ago. I'll see you in the next one.